Let's start with Melanie's piece today. And Melany, I am going to ask you to do your MCS for us. So Anna Pierce is a portrait photographer in her mid-30s who is compelled to come home when she finds out her dad is missing by her best friend Ryan, who is the cop in her hometown. She realizes that he is likely suffering with some sort of medical issue, although her parents are in denial about it and don't want to talk about it. She has competing priorities between trying to understand how sick he is and how much help they need versus a huge professional opportunity she has in Las Vegas. While she's home and things escalate, her dad winds up getting hurt. And when he is in an altered state of mind, he reveals something that was not known to her. And the revelation of that detail causes her to leave and go to Vegas and abandon her family. Her mother's best friend explains to her the background of that story, and then she eventually goes back home to try and mend fences.
Now, wasn't that easier than it's been in the past?
You know, I just realized I left out everything about the Bartons. So now that was horrible.
Let me say something then. Maybe they're not all that important.
No, the Bartons are hugely important. So I get in.
Some ways, if they're not top of mind, while they are a linchpin, they may not be as important as you think. In other words, I know why they're important, but why would you forget that in this sort of MCS?
Well, primarily it's a story about Anna and her dad, primarily.
Right.
Lots of other stuff going on, though.
Right. Okay. All right. Very good. I thought you did a wonderful job with that. I would like to ask Pam to do a retelling of chapter 6. Without looking at your notes, without looking at it, tell us what happens in chapter 6.
In chapter 6, Anna goes to the shop of, I believe, her father's very good friend to discuss what she wonders might be wrong with her dad. And during that discussion, the friend acknowledges that there's more to it than just how her parents are acting like it's no big deal, that her friend says, yeah, I think there's something going on with him. Meanwhile, they are interrupted when the friend, whose name is Alan, goes out into the showroom of this business he runs, and Anna begins to talk to his son, Charlie, a special needs boy in high school, and she agrees to go to his homecoming dance with him, not so much because she likes him, but because she wants to protect him from what she fears will be a bullying incident at the homecoming dance, similar to what she suffered as a young teenager. I'm stuck there. Wait a minute, without looking. And yeah, I don't think anybody else came in then. And I think we leave the chapter with her returning home, planning to do this homecoming. Oh, I forgot this part. She comes very close to missing a deadline for a career opportunity. And as she's talking to Alan, she gets an idea to use Alan and his wife, Elaine, who I believe is his mother's good friend, in a photograph competition to enter this competition that she has almost missed. I'm not sure how they all come together or how they work. I'm not sure the significance of the homecoming dance or the portrait or the conversation she had with Alan. So I'm thinking this is a chapter that maybe sets up a plot move.
Okay. Okay. Now, knowing that was very good. Very good. Did anyone want to add something that happened? Did we miss anything? Did Pam miss anything? Okay. So Pam, let me ask you this. Knowing the first 6 chapters now, what do you perceive as the stakes for Anna?
I think she's still concerned about her shoot in Las Vegas and getting that, but I don't think her primary concern is her father.
You think her primary concern is her father, or you do not?
No, yes and no. I think she waffles because she goes with the intention of asking Alan about Dad, but when Dad says, you know, there's more going on than we think, they don't talk about it any further. And then she morphs into the photograph opportunity. So I'm not getting a strong sense of where her priority is at this point.
So what do you think the conflict is?
I think her conflict is how much time is she willing to give into this current situation at home, which means abandoning her professional goals to some degree. How involved does she want to get? Because she has made it abundantly clear she doesn't want to be in Oak Bend her whole life. And yet she's taken on going to the dance with Charlie. She's asking about Dad's health. So it's almost in spite of herself. She's getting ingrained back in her hometown. So I think her conflict lies with how much does she want to give of herself? How much does she want to sacrifice her freedom to go back to help her family?
Okay, so this is great. You're very good at this. This is an excellent example of that spectrum of stakes. On one end, you have her career, and the other end, you have her family. What she has to gain, in one sense, is an advancement in her career, but if she should, but she also has, if she does that, she may lose something about her family, like being involved with very important decision making and support of her father, right? So it's very, very interesting. The stakes are very evident in this chapter, and they are continuing to drive the plot. Now, isn't it beautiful how that all comes together? That is just dandy, and it's why it's such a strong chapter. You've got that conflict really clear, Melanie, and Pam was able to retell and capture all the essence of this chapter, to recognize what the stakes were, to see how those stakes propelled her decision making, to see what the concerns that she had were. Now, looking at her character, how would you say, what kind of elements are essential to or fundamental to her character that are revealed through what the stakes are for her? Pamela.
Oh, well, I really liked that we got a little bit more of her backstory, and I think that showed me some foundational pieces of her. She has, I understand her dislike for her hometown because she had some bad experiences with bullying in high school, and I think those are probably setting some of that conflict, not wanting to be there, but wanting to be there to help, wanting to save the other child, that Charlie, from the same thing happening. But that means, oh my gosh, I have to become more of a part of this world that I don't really want to be in. And I also think Melanie is doing such a good job of reminding us that she's a photographer. That whole paragraph or so that she had about the lessons Anna has learned about taking portraits, that continues to feed in every chapter almost. You've had something teaching us, the reader, about photography, but also reminding us that this is more than just a woman whose father might be in crisis. This is a woman whose professional life might be in crisis if she doesn't get to this show.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. Look at how all of this relates. This is so beautiful. The character, her identity, as a photographer, her reluctance to be at home, the pull of family, and the pull of a soft heart because she cares for Charlie as well. And these repercussions of bullying, which may have driven her out of her hometown. And as she has this identity as a photographer, you use language in this gorgeous extended metaphor to relay parts of her personality, the way she sees the world, her point of view, her perspective. So all of these things are intermingled, and it's really, really working. So, and then the story world itself, you've set it up. I mean, American Gothic, hello. It's this idea of this, but you're turning it on its head as well, because you are doing the American Gothic through the eyes of somebody who's a rebel, who is moving away from and pushing against this town and has this conflict. All these things work so beautifully together. That is what I wanted to show you guys, is how all of these elements cohere to make a strong story. And I think everybody today exemplifies that. Pam, would you like to, I'll get off my coherence high horse and my stakes high horse. Would you like to add anything else to your thoughts today? And thank you for being my guest.
Now I'm going to peek at your story now, or your chapter now, since I wasn't allowed to look at it earlier. Just kidding. To the end, my takeaways, and I guess, let me go down to the bottom. My takeaways from this whole chapter is, if the focal point of the story is that conflict, I feel the urge for her professionalism, and I'm not feeling as much for Dad. And I think because they dropped the conversation in the showroom. So I wonder if perhaps she can add some observations about some oddities. For example, when Dad drops the logs and she places them, stacks them correctly or properly, is it out of character for him to drop them? So I think if you can show us a little bit of that, even if she is like her mom and kind of denying it at this point, but at least if you show us that this is an oddity, then it might help build the stakes for Dad, even if she's not seeing it or she doesn't want to address it right now. And my only other question was some clarity on that business, because you refer to it as a showroom. I'm thinking, I know he sells combines, and I'm thinking it looks like a car sales showroom, and I don't know why. So when Charlie is there for a repair, I'm guessing for his lawnmowers, I'm wondering why he's in the showroom and not at the repair shop. So maybe if I know it's a small town, maybe that has something to do with it. But I think I had a hard time picturing why Charlie was in the showroom when he said, they're coming to sharpen my blades. I felt like he was in the wrong place. And I'm curious why he feels so protective of Charlie. And I'm okay with it. I like that I feel like you're going somewhere with it. And I feel like, ooh, this is something I want to see develop more. I don't know where it's going, but I like that it's here.
You mean why Anna is protective of Charlie?
Yes. I mean, I know she feels a sense of protectiveness, but also she doesn't like Oak Bend. She has just agreed or offered to stay, I don't know how many days longer, to go to this dance. So it's like, it's against her own desire. She's getting herself in her hometown. So
do you feel we need a little more character development on the topic of maybe her own experiences as a teenager?
No, I think I get that. I think I want to see how this is going to increase her inner conflict of staying there, and how this is going to butt heads with her need to go to Las Vegas. And especially once she does this photograph, I'm thinking that's going to get her back in her head of work and photograph, and that's going to even increase her desire to get out of this town. So I'm assuming the need to stay in this town is going to increase. I just feel like she's building this conflict, and I think you're putting these things in motion.
So Charlie is yet another reason that she feels pulled to stay.
I think so. And I mean, I hope that's what you want the reader to think, because that's what I'm getting out of it. I'm like, all right, I'm not really sure.
for her.
Yeah, I'm not sure why she's so hell-bent on going to this homecoming dance with him, other than why is she so protective? But I feel like it's going to come out. It's a question that readers have that doesn't stop them. It intrigues them to find out more.
Thank you, Pam. I saw Alex shaking his head. What were you thinking, Alex, about that?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's the conflict here is an internal conflict about should I stay or should I go? Kind of. And obviously not forever, but just how long should I stay or go and I think that's the tension between taking care of her family, taking care of her career, and this pull that she doesn't want of hometown sort of pulling her back in.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like those are the three things, and they're all pulling at her, and she doesn't quite realize it yet, which I think is really funny. Like she knows it, but she doesn't, right? And I think that's great because that's life, right? Like we it's after the fact when we realize that, oh, okay, that was what was going on with me. But in the moment, you're just sort of pulled along by these various things, and then, no, I like this chapter. I like the photography stuff. I think all the more, right? The more, the better. And I guess my main question was like, I definitely needed a stronger reason for her to go out that night. Because she had the previous night, presumably, right? So 2 chapters in a row of her going out. I felt like I needed a chapter in the middle of her at home, where she's dealing with her dad, dad and mom, right? But primarily dad, and really sussing him out and figuring out like, are you okay? Are you not? Like just sort of reading his body language and the things he says. And then maybe in her head realizing, okay, he's fine. And the following day, she's like, oh, I've got this idea for I've got an idea for work, and I've got this new deadline. So let me head out just for the evening and the afternoon or whatever, and try to take a portrait. But I think I'd want maybe a chapter before this of her at home.
You feel that the relationship, the dynamics with the family are absent, a little bit absent.
I think because there's both going on, and that's the conflict. The conflict is between her hometown and her family and her career. And her career and the hometown are sort of linking up together. So that's why the draw is so strong for her.
Mm-hmm.
And the family is sort of a distraction in her mind, right? But I definitely need the distraction to be bigger. And I think just throwing a whole chapter in between these two, so that she's not going out twice in the same week or whatever. So that we can get a sense of like what's changed in her dad, what's changed in her relationship to her parents, and in her own mind about home, that then either propels her away from it as a repulsive force, or something else. I don't know, and I think obviously like that's the writer's choice to make, but I definitely wanted a much longer prelude to her going out within this chapter of her at home and dealing with the firewood stuff, just so we get a better sense of why she feels okay with heading out. And again, or it's just like, I'm going out for an hour, right? And I maybe emphasize that, where the night before she sort of felt guilty about, sort of leaving for the evening the other night. And this time it's like, I just have a work thing I need to try to take care of, and I'm going to go down to which I thought was a hardware store actually. So I think I must have that. And yeah, so that was basically my thought.
Okay, good. How about you, Stacey?
Yes, I agree with what Alex said about the aspect with her father and her leaving. I had probably a different take on the whole chapter, in the sense that I didn't, and this is probably just me, I didn't feel like the conflicts were super strong in it. So I guess what I mean by that is, while I really liked seeing the aspect of her being a photographer, I love those elements. I couldn't help but wondering why she wouldn't choose her mom and her dad as subjects for her photo shoot instead of Alan and his wife. It just felt like, okay, here's two more characters. So I felt like there was a bit of a missed opportunity there. I didn't have that response with the bullying aspect that Celeste, you and Pam did. Like, that was maybe a big reason for why she left. It was just a line in there in her little bit of a backstory. So it didn't strike me like that. So if she was going, I agree, if she was going to prom with Charlie, then I would have liked to have seen her go, oh, internally, oh crap, what did I just do? I just committed myself for 2 more days or 3 more days or something. Why did I do that? Now I gotta, some initial wrangling inside, to see that aspect of, I want to leave, I don't want to leave. Because if Charlie is so important, I would have liked to have had her mention him in somewhere in the previous 5 chapters to say, I got to go find Charlie, or I got to go this. I was also confused by Charlie. I wasn't sure if he was special needs. I wasn't sure how old he was. I kind of thought he was special needs, but then I thought, well, maybe he's just in high school and acting juvenile-ish. But then I was thinking through, when would she have watched Breaking Bad with him, and how old was he when they would have watched Breaking Bad, and some of that stuff. So I just wasn't clear on who he was. I felt the interaction with Doug was extraneous, I guess. I felt like it meandered a little bit. He goes out and greets her in the yard, and then disappears until a little bit later. So it just didn't feel like there was anything to him. I needed a reminder of who Alan was. I think I think we've mentioned him before, but if so, then I need a quick reminder when she's brings him up again. But yeah, the biggest thing for me was, why is she leaving again to go into town again to get secondhand information from someone again about her father? Why wouldn't she say, hey, I'm just going to go for a walk. I'll be back in a little bit. Dad, do you want to go with me? Knowing that he's going to say no, but at least I'm extending the offer, or something. But yeah, it bothered me that she was leaving again. I agree with Alex. I feel like there needs to be another chapter or another section or a longer prologue to this chapter of her getting into stuff with her dad or something. Maybe they get in a fight, and that's what compels her to go for a walk, and then she winds up at the farm equipment place or something. So yeah, there.
Good. Okay, we have a wonderful difference of opinion, and let's discuss that a little bit. The chapter is pretty even. I think in order to do more with maintaining and even building the conflict, you need to build in more tension with the parents. Now, if she doesn't have a chapter between the last one and this chapter where she's trying to confront her dad and her mom and really dig down on things, then I think it might be really good to, if you're not ready to do that, to show her internal turmoil over it. Like she wants to talk to them, but she can't bring herself to do it because if she admits something's terribly wrong, she knows she's going to have to come home. So you need to feed into the conflict a little bit, whether that is a chapter in between last time and this time, or an obvious soul-searching, soul-crushing type of avoidance. Okay, I think that makes a lot of sense, which could be enhanced by the way she relies on somehow. Is it his name, Alan? I forget. I'm sorry, Alan. Okay, you know, is Alan someone who's always been a go-to when she feels rejected by her parents? If so, build that up. If not, why is she going in to see him? Because he's the best friend. Give us a really, really compelling reason for her to go and visit him. If she's staying more days for Charlie, you have to feed into that as well and show why did she babysit him when he was younger? How old is he? I thought he was an adult in previous chapters that just had a disability, but now he's in high school, and that confused me. So let's build that up, give her a reason. I really like that you have made Anna more relatable, but also she still needs to have, we need to see her warts and all. We need to see the avoidance or the conflict in a fight. We need to see the resentment and the love. We need to see that pull the extremes a little bit more. We can always pare back, but don't be afraid to really show both. Last time you were showing kind of all the negatives of Anna, and we weren't getting the positive. This time, maybe gone over a little bit too much to the light side versus the dark side. So we want to really pull out all of those different aspects of her and bring home again. That will sharpen the stakes. That will remind us of what she has to lose. That will show us why she has this epiphany, which I thought was very clever of American Gothic. But drill down on that, okay? Drill down on the positive and the negative, and show how, there are two sides of the same coin. Okay, I think that will make it richer and really bring us along in a more, make it even more compelling. I think you're doing a beautiful job with this. I love to see that she is becoming a more well-rounded figure. And I don't mean smooth or even or likable, but more that she has both sides to her that we get to explore and we get to relate to. Okay. Yes, go ahead, Stacey.
I was just going to say, there's a paragraph on the bottom of page 4 where I thought it was great because we get to see a little bit of that struggle internally. She's only planning to stay in shit until she had to leave for Vegas. Was she using denial to justify this, or was it because her parents were so insistent on everything is fine? That's a great paragraph that articulates some of that struggle. I need a lot more of that in various aspects, because I think that really draws out a lot of who Anna is and what she's going through. I just need to see more of that for me.
Right. And think about ways that you could explore that through all the different fundamentals of the story. Through the character development, through fleshing out more of the story world, okay, through the language, which you are already doing, I think, very nicely, but even push that more. Not so much the portrait part, I think you really nailed that, but what is it about American Gothic that she is so inspired by? What about that does she love? What disturbs her about it? I've always found that incredibly disturbing painting myself. But what are her thoughts? And how is she going to change that? How is she going to change the perspective on that to make it something really sensational for this contest? So there are all these different ways to flesh this out and make it even more compelling, coherent, and build. Okay, doing a great. I'm very pleased. Do you have any questions for us on any part of this, Melanie?
No, I don't think so. All very helpful comments. I have some clarifications I need to make, but also additions too. But yeah.
Okay. So, you know, we've been hypothesizing about the stakes, but what are they for you in a nutshell? And what
In this chapter and the whole
in the
book?
whole book?
Well, I mean, her career is at a turning point.
What does her career mean to her? Is that her identity?
Yeah, it's her identity. It's how she expresses herself. It's how she's trying to prove herself. It's how she relates to the world and makes sense of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the other bigger thing that's at stake is her relationship with her dad and her family, but especially with her dad and some other people as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She doesn't know that yet. She only knows part of it right now.
Does she or doesn't she? Maybe she does know some of this at a certain level. Maybe these are things that she's pushed away, just like the town. I think she's pretty deep.
I think subconsciously, yeah, she's reaching for something that's been missing her whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and she'll figure out why before long.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Now,
Bardsy delivers the tools, guidance, and support you need to produce compelling novels. Our well-researched and thoroughly tested approach includes our minimum complete story, a 90-second exercise that keeps your writing on track while fueling creativity. Bardsy Publishability Index, a 23-dimension checklist that offers attainable goals and provides actionable feedback. And our brand new comprehensive character developer that helps you construct unforgettable characters. Come see for yourself at Bardsy.com today. Try our workshop or enter our first chapter contest. Then, when you're ready, Elite Membership delivers writing groups, personal coaching, and a curated community. With Bardsy, your work will captivate everyone, from agents to publishers, and, most importantly, your readers.